Good afternoon. This is Midday Live. Top stories for this afternoon. Majority caucus in Parliament holds emergency meeting over appointment of Nanoye Letha as Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. We will be speaking to our parliamentary correspondent shortly to give us an update on that very meeting. Now, 4 persons said to have died of meningitis infections in the Upper West region since the beginning of the year. And quickly to the international front, Syria vows to hold Israel and its allies accountable for a suspected Israeli airstrike on the Syrian military targets near Damascus. I'm Midday. I've got the details shortly. Now, the majority NDC in Parliament has held an emergency caucus meeting concerning the issue of Nanoye Letha's appointment, and I do have our parliamentary correspondent Edward Kwabi on the phone line to tell us what really happened at that meeting that was held by the majority in Parliament. Hello, Edward.
Hello, Wendy.
Good afternoon. Can you tell us what really happened at the meeting?
Well, unconfirmed reports indicate that the majority was actually in an emergency meeting. A few minutes ago they walked in. That was around 11:49, and issues on the table were among ways of finding ways of approving nominees who were vetted by the appointment committee. Now, names that came up, Nanoye Letha has been one issue that was heavily discussed over there. We all know that concerns arise concerning her stance on gay rights, and that was prominent, or some issues that gained some attention at the meeting. So they walked in a few minutes ago, and they will be debating soon as to whether to approve her nomination or not.
Okay, so basically that's what you can tell us as of now.
Yes, the issue is really that the majority are divided regarding as to whether or not to approve her and other nominees as well. We all know that the normal thing to do is that after the appointment committee of Parliament is done with their vetting, they submit the name to the House for debate to be done. But this time around, meetings are being held over some appointees or some names that have come up, and sources in there tell us that they told us earlier that Nanoye Letha's name has strongly come up, and she has been one of the people who are being considered as to whether to approve her or not.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Edward Kwabi. We'll get back to you to tell us more if there is any on the very issue of the majority caucus meeting in Parliament today. You're still watching Midday Live. We'll bring you some more stories still here on Midday Live. And a public place of convenience built at the Cocoa Affairs Court has been closed down for the past 5 months due to lack of water supply. Peter Kwao Adato reports that the situation has compelled patrons and staff of the courts to find unconventional ways of attending to nature's court just around the court premises.
The structure was constructed by the Judicial Service several years ago to provide a place of convenience to workers and patrons of the Cocoa Affairs Court. The water closet facility relies heavily on these polytanks to function due to irregular water supply to the area. Operators charge 20 pesos and later 30 pesos per person in order to be able to recover the cost for maintenance and pay utility bills. Unfortunately, the facility was closed down over 5 months ago due to lack of water supply. A source at the court told TV3 the closure was necessitated by abrupt end of water tanker services to the premises. As a result, workers and visitors to the court have resorted to unconventional means of easing themselves around the court premises. Both male and female compete against each other for space to attend to nature's call. Not even our cameras on Thursday could prevent people from accessing the free-for-all arena. This has become a source of worry, and many feared could lead to a health crisis soon, because all manner of cooked food and other consumables are sold in the open around the court.
You can get interactive with us on Facebook and Twitter. There's news on TV3 or short code 1734. Tell us about what you've seen on the stories we've aired on Midday Live. We'll continue with the rest of our stories. And 4 people have died of meningitis infection in the Upper West region since the beginning of 2013. The 4 are said to be among 12 persons who are diagnosed of the disease within the period. The Upper West region also recorded 51 deaths out of 361 cases within the last 2 years. And I have on the phone line the Upper West Regional Director of Public Health, Dr. Kofi Issa. Good afternoon, Doctor, and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, Madam.
Now, can you confirm if indeed the 4 deaths have occurred?
4 deaths of what?
On the meningitis?
Yes, we have had 4 deaths for January.
Okay, and were they children or adults?
Well, they were 2 children and 2 elderly people.
Okay, but since you have recorded children, what is happening in the schools? Any prevention measures being taken or precautionary measures being taken in the schools?
Let me set the record straight. We don't have any epidemic here.
Okay.
Now, let me also remind the public that throughout the year, there are cases of meningitis. Meningitis simply means an inflammation of the covering of the brain or the spinal cord. What we are worried of is a form of meningitis which you all know as CSM, which is easily transmitted. Now, throughout the year, we have a surveillance system which picks up all cases of meningitis as suspected cases. Then we do laboratory confirmation to find out which organism is causing that meningitis. And if we find out that the organism which causes CSM, that is when we then start taking response measures to make sure we prevent an epidemic, or if we are in an epidemic, to respond appropriately to it.
But so would you say that this is the right period for the spread of meningitis, and is it CSM if you've been able to check it?
Now, if we are to declare an epidemic, we might sometimes have about 10 cases in a population of 100,000 in a week.
Okay, but is this the period for the spread of meningitis?
Yeah, this normally starts from November almost up to April, when the season is dry and warm in the northern part of the country.
And can you confirm if this is CSM?
So far, the laboratory, investigations have shown that we haven't seen any organism in what we have looked at.
Okay, so specifically...
So even if there are CSM cases, the most important thing is that are we in an epidemic or not? That is when everybody, including the media, will be told. Now, we yesterday had an interaction with the media because we want that as we start the year, everybody plays a role in reporting early, getting the public sensitized, so that we don't get into an epidemic like used to happen in previous years, where we all lie down and wait if there's an epidemic and then we all pretend to be working. So that was the essence of the press briefing yesterday.
But since how would you describe this case that you see now in the Upper West region?
Normally, like I heard you reading that there were 351 cases throughout the year, I think 2011 or was it 2012?
The last 2 years.
Yes, so definitely if you have 12 months in a year and just January you have 12 cases, but throughout the year you would have get about 400 or 500 cases or 300 cases just like you have reported. So these things occur throughout the year.
But you were saying that you have to check and see the sort of meningitis it is, and I'm asking that have you been able to check if this is CSM itself?
That is why I'm saying that the laboratory has confirmed that we haven't seen any organism in people we check. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
but we still treat them as suspected cases because they show certain symptoms which we have told people to look out for.
Okay. Now, how many persons have been affected or have been confirmed from suffering from this very case?
How many people have been confirmed?
Out of the 12. Out of the figure you have there now.
Out of the 12.
Yes.
Have been confirmed to what?
No, apart from the 4 that you're telling me about that have died, apart from them, how many persons are also suffering from this very case?
As at now, we have 12 suspected cases.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And are the hospitals well equipped to take care of this very situation we're seeing now?
What we do is that since we know the season starts in November, we already have held meetings and briefed all stakeholders, gone round 2 rounds to make sure we monitor every facility is prepared. But let me remind you, Madam, that meningitis, just like every health situation, is a responsibility for the whole society and all stakeholders. And that's why we want to bring in everybody. And then everybody is aware, and then we'll help each other. Once we prevent epidemics, I think that people can be able to go through their work very well and contribute to the socio-economic development of this country, instead of us getting money and then using it to respond to an epidemic.
So you are confirming that, yes, the hospitals are equipped to take care of the situation, aside the education you have done?
Yes, we are in the belt. So every year it becomes a ritual. But this year we have decided to even be much more proactive.
Okay.
That is why we have called the media as early as this time to make sure that they help sensitize the public. And then we are all ready, we join hands to make sure that we prevent any epidemic instead of actually reacting to an epidemic.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I just spoke to the Upper West Regional Health Director in charge of public health, and he is Dr. Kofi, and we're looking at the CSM case up in the Upper West region. We'll continue with other stories, and Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur has commissioned some West African experts to deal with the drug trafficking across the sub-region. The experts are mandated to mobilize public awareness and political commitment to address issues on illegal drugs.
The group of experts, the West African Commission on Drugs, is to develop evidence-based policy recommendations to deal with drug trafficking. They are tasked with collaborating with other international institutions. And civil society groups to ruthlessly deal with illegal drugs. Lately, the West African sub-region has become a transit point for illegal drug trafficking and has posed a great challenge to governments. In 2009 alone, more than a third of the drugs trafficked were consumed locally within the sub-region. The 12-member experts are to also engage in follow-up advocacy campaign with governments and international agencies.
We have to work with drug-producing and consuming nations in the Americas, Europe, and Asia to find viable solutions to these challenges. I therefore encourage the Commission to maintain active dialogue with policymakers and experts from other regions.
Chairman of the Commission, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, promised to bring their expertise to bear.
This is a critical time for West Africa. There is progress to report, but dangers are traps to avoid and/or contain. I can assure you, Secretary General, that we shall do our very best to make the Commission a landmark in the struggle to give West Africa and all our people a better future.
Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur underscored government's role in addressing issues on illegal drug trafficking.
Ghana has been grappling with the menace of drug trafficking for some time now. We have made significant seizures of drugs, including large shipments of cocaine from South America destined for Europe and beyond. But yet more needs to be done. We are taking action on several fronts to deal with the multiple threats to our society by drugs and drug trafficking.
Delays in the payment for services of caterers under the school feeding program is compromising quality and quantity of food served to beneficiary schools. Some pupils, as a result, are refusing to patronize food served by these very caterers. Lord Asante-Fojo has this report.
The school feeding program started in 2005 with funding from the Netherlands government. Currently, the program is solely funded by Government of Ghana with an annual expenditure of over 60 million Ghana cedis. The objective is to provide one hot meal a day for pupils in deprived communities to improve enrollment and retention of children in school. The school feeding program now covers all districts in Ghana with about 1.6 million pupils in 4,600 schools benefiting. However, there are growing concerns about food quality and quantity served the pupils. At the Sakumono Primary and Lankwantanang cluster of schools in Accra, for example, some pupils refused to patronize food served.
Sometimes the rice they bring to us, the rice is not nice. They don't bring good rice. And the food is tasteless. They don't give us enough. They give us small food. We have decided that we will not eat the food. We want good food and we want menu chart, so that you know the kind of food that you eat.
Government pays 40 pesos for food per child, including 5% withholding tax.
The quantity is small because we are giving 40 pesos per plate with 5% withholding tax, making it 38 pesos per plate. Can you imagine a whole dish, 38 pesos? So it's true it's not enough, but that's the best we can provide. So we are pleading with the government, if it can increase the cost of the plate to 1 cedi.
And there are fund disbursement difficulties, as delays in payments are major worries for caterers. Siba Alpha is the public relations officer of the Ghana School Feeding Program.
You have demonstrated your ability to pre-finance the program, you see, and so you should be able to free finance up to the time that we are able to give you the money.
President of the Ghana East Caterers Association is Faustina Amevo.
Although we are supposed to pre-finance, most of the women go for loan, which they have to pay interest on, and the prices go up at times. So if we are paid regularly, we can acquire all our ingredients in advance so that the price increases will not affect as much.
Meanwhile, the pupils and caterers have complained about the taste of a particular brand of local rice supplied by the Ghana Buffer Stock Company. The rice called parboil is said to have nutritional and medicinal benefits, but the pupils don't seem to like its taste.
We want to appeal to the teachers to convince the kids that this is entirely different rice, but as they keep on eating it, they will adapt to the taste.
John Kwasaki is the MCE of Ghana East Municipal Assembly.
Parents, to visit the schools, interact, and whatever support you can give to the program for its success. When all these things are put on board, the program can be sustained. The commitment is first, and the assemblies should take it up as part of their social responsibility.
Now to the Volta region, 4 persons, including an independent candidate, will contest the impending by-elections in the Akachi South constituency. Principal Public Relations Officer of the Electoral Commission, Sylviano, says the Commission will live above reproach on February 5.
The Akachi South seat became vacant following the promotion of the then MP Edward Do Ajaho to the position of Speaker of Parliament. 3 candidates from the National Democratic Congress, Progressive People's Party and the New Vision Party, as well as an independent candidate, will contest. All 4 candidates, according to the Electoral Commission, have successfully filed their nominations, meeting all requirements. The EC explained the rules of engagement in CI 75 will be evoked including the use of verification machines.
We have CI 75 now in book. Now it stipulates that before you go through the process, you must go through the voter shall be identified using the verification machine, and therefore the kind of rules or regulations that pertained during the recent general elections are the same rules that are going to be used for the by-election.
The New Patriotic Party was emphatic they would not field a candidate because of the election petition case currently before the Supreme Court. The Akachi by-election is slated for February 5 this year.
Now, the Progressive People's Party parliamentary candidates for Akachi South and Buem constituencies in the Volta region have filed their nominations to contest the by-election slated for February 5 and 26 respectively. The two, Anthony Chikota and Elvis Akoto Ade, presented their completed nomination forms and 1,000 cedis filing fee to the returning officers Joseph Fliabo and Reverend Simon Yanku. Accompanying them were the regional youth leader Divine Nkrumah, the deputy national secretary Parakwakun, and some regional constituency executives. Remember, you can still get interactive with us. Facebook and Twitter is News on TV3 or short code 1734. 5 vehicles got burnt when a fuel tanker caught fire at Brofuyedu Glory Oil Filling Station on the Santasi Road of the Ashanti region. The incident occurred with no casualty.
Information TV3 gathered at the scene indicated that one of the 4 tankers loaded with a consignment arrived at the Brofuyedu Glory Oil Fuel Station at about 12 noon. The driver of the fuel tanker had begun discharging the fuel when the vehicle caught fire. Residents and fuel attendants tried to contain the fire with extinguishers to no avail. It took fire engines and personnel from the Regional Fire Service, the Bekwai Fire Station and the Tonsu Fire Station more than 2 hours to completely put off the flame. 5 vehicles including 2 cargoes, 2 saloons and the petrol tanker got burnt. A shopping mall nearby was also razed down.
We saw that there was fire outbreak out there. Investigation indicates that it was a bushfire, but we are now patching at the filling station, and then that this gas is highly inflammable. So quickly we mobilized the young guys here to move to site, and I quickly also called the fire service. In about 30 minutes they were here to assist us.
Some other stories. The National Road Safety Commissioner has begun a nationwide monitoring exercise to check the level of compliance with standards for commercial transport service operators. Visiting the VIP Transport Limited, Executive Director of the Commission, Engineer Noble Apia, expressed satisfaction at the level of compliance with safety at the terminal.
In July 2012, the National Road Safety Commission came out with a publication on 3 standards for commercial road safety transport operators. They are operational, driver and vehicle standards. These standards are to deepen the culture of safety and to ensure a reduction in fatalities. Officers of the Commission called on the management of VIP Terminal to ascertain the level of compliance with the directives. The terminal has complied with the appointment of a road safety officer. He tells us what his responsibilities are.
So anytime I come in the morning, I took about 10 numbers. I go and check the buses, their tires, the inside, the neatness in the bus, their windscreens, especially their headlights, navigators. Then I record their names to the ticket room. Then they can take their ticket so that they can, those drivers are roadworthy, they can go to the road, those vehicles.
The terminal has made provision for additional new buses and currently buses that ply the 500-kilometer distance to Kumasi total 150. A passenger on board describes the quality of services rendered at the terminal.
I believe it's reliable, safe to drive, and very comfortable. And their services is superb. That's why
The Executive Director of the National Road Safety Commission, Noble Lapia, expressed satisfaction at the level of compliance at the terminal.
We are here to monitor to see how far they are operationalizing the standards. And I'm quite frankly, I'm quite impressed with what I've seen. The standards focus on three main areas: policies, programs, and activities that are put on the driver, the vehicle, and operations, and how those operations promote road safety. When the driver takes some rest, how you ensure the driver has rested, how the vehicles are maintained, what the records. And for what I've learned here, they have over 150 coaches, and last year, rated only one traffic crash where one person died, which I think is very commendable. And I think that if they continue the standards that we have set in place and they are operationalizing them, they continue to enhance road safety.
He called on other transport operators to mainstream such global best practices to deliver quality assurance and ultimately road safety.